points, poorest regions and epidemics epicenters. International organizations carry out their activities in parts of the world where they are critical for people. They unite countries and continents, save millions of lives and solve global problems. Watch more on this in Kazakhstan International Vectors. How are women conquering the labor market? We urge women to be self-sufficient. International organizations are opening doors into the business sphere for physically challenged persons. How can we support or help them to sell their souvenir products? For any person, it is important to settle in life and do something which makes him or her truly happy. Asel Alisherova admits that she can easily call herself such a person. Today, she is a successful businesswoman, the founder and the owner of a recreation camp, but it was not always like this. The late fall of the year 2007, a female city dweller in high heels and a thin raincoat is making her way through the dirt of the countryside to check out a land plot. At that time, Asel was not sure of buying wasteland and starting a business from scratch. Upon arriving at the location, she clearly saw that there was the place. 3 years later, an ethno village, or aul in Kazakh, opened in the foothills. It was my nostalgia about my childhood, probably, about things that surrounded me from infancy, what my mother used to do. It comes back to you after a while. With years, you come back to the source and want to bring everything back. The present, the past, the things which were and are dear to you, I suppose. What happened to Asel's business and how women are changing Kazakhstan, coming up next. During World War I, when men left for the front, the women of the world, for the first time thought about starting their own social movement, reflecting their interests worldwide. In 1919, several initial associations formed with a focus on protecting women's rights. Today, there are a dozen of such organizations around the world. They are actively supporting and helping women in various spheres of life. Kazakhstan is not an exception, as in 2015, the EXPO WOMEN International Organization appeared in the country. The EXPO WOMEN International Organization was established in June 2015 under the initiative of several public organizations of Kazakhstan and foreign partners. The main objectives of the organization are involving women in the EXPO movement and ensuring active women's participation in annual exhibitions. Despite its young age, the organization has already gained wide support among Kazakhstan's active female population engaged in various activities. It is about all women without exception, these who are already successful in business and these who just want to start one, women who are homemakers, women from needy families, as well as single mothers. The organization pays special attention to the issue of transition to green economy, in particular the Green Bridge Partnership Program initiated by Kazakhstan. It fosters close green economic cooperation of Central Asian countries. EXPO WOMEN plans to achieve its goals thanks to passionate women successful in business, politics, industry, public life and journalism. Within the Green Technology project, we opened a demo center. Every week, a lot of people come there to get trained, get knowledge and advice on how to apply different technologies. Our projects have significant social impact. Their potential is huge. The international experience proves the efficiency of similar associations. For example, in 2011, the UN General Assembly declared that equal participation of women and men in policy-making plays a fundamental role in ensuring sustainable development of the world and democracy. In 2015, the list of the most influential women's organizations included the UN Women, the Women's Environment and Development Organization, the International Women's League for Peace and Freedom, the Business and Professional Women's Foundation, the International Federation of University Women, the Global Fund for Women, and the National Organization for Women. For Asel, her recreation camp is not just a business. Above all, it is her personal contribution to the country's cultural development. In addition, the ethno-village gives work to the people living in nearby communities. A lot of people work here, up to 30 or 40 in high season doing different things. Out of them, only 10 are employed on permanent basis. The rest we invite depending on the need. Some workers come here for a couple of days, some come for the whole season. Then we have the local babushkas, retired senior women. They are great actresses and take part in all our performances and events. The recreation camp hosts regular activities. The guests of the Owl not only try out ethnic cuisine, but also participate in cooking themselves. Here one can also learn how to saddle a horse and shoot a bow. I am proud that this year we were able to organize a festival. It was an international event devoted to the 550th anniversary of the Kazakh Khanate. The traditional Kazakh games, including kokpar, became the highlight of the event. We had guests from several countries like Turkey, Germany, Holland and, of course, from all over Kazakhstan. A shooter from Turkey took the first place and left very happy. There was a money prize. What led to the Expo and Women establishment and what projects help women's personal fulfillment? Coming up next. The years 1976–1985 were marked by the rapid evolvement of women's organizations. In the UN, it was called the Decade for Women. During that time, the international community took a huge step in overcoming women's discrimination in politics and business. It was then when it started to become more and more a women's thing. The final break into the senior league and the successful attempt of becoming equal participants of world events took place in the 90s of the last century. Many spheres of life turned from same-sex to mixed. While in 1969, the number of senior management positions occupied by women in the US was less than 3.5%, by 1986 it was 13. Kazakhstan has a good female track record. According to statistics, women here had 41.5% of small and medium businesses. This once again proves the significant role of the so-called weaker sex in the national economy. In turn, this amplifies the need for such organizations as EXPO and Women. Our initiatives are supported by the National Commission on Women's Affairs and Demographic Policy. They believe in us, women. We signed a memorandum between the Astana EXPO National Company and the Commission on Women's Affairs and Demographic Policy. According to international experts, the US is the leading country when it comes to women's rights. The UK is in the second place. France closes the top 3 list. However, this coin has two sides. Despite occupying senior positions, women as a rule earn 20% less than men. Experts note that this testifies to the need of international women's organizations to focus more on the business environment. EXPO and Women facilitates the dialogue between the state, women's organizations, development agencies and business community. Here they help women not only to start up their businesses, but also implement turnkey projects. For example, the Silent World Society of Deaf People approached us recently. Its members make very nice things with their own hands, including different souvenirs. We are now thinking of how to help them to sell their produce. EXPO and Women actively supports a whole spectrum of projects. The Stage Outfit Festival is one of them. Preliminary selection competitions were held in different regions of Kazakhstan, but the final round will take place in the capital. According to the organizers, the event is a good launching pad for young designers as they're provided with a unique chance to demonstrate their works to well-established dressmakers. Sun Men Sakna is another interesting project. It is 7 years old. During this time, we have been supporting young creative talents coming from different areas of Kazakhstan. The Sun Men Sakna project focuses on stage outfits. Before all, the projects implemented by EXPO and Women are aimed at advancing green economy and reducing environmental risks. This is one of the factors which is planned to be taken into account even during creating stage outfits. We plan to hold several fashion shows specifically devoted to eco-clothes. It is very important to link fashion and environment. Everything associated with the environment is of utmost value to us. This is why now we have a lot of ecological projects. Asel thinks that, notwithstanding the work already done, the main challenges are still ahead. She dreams to create ethno-villages across Kazakhstan. In order to be able to show a lot to our guests, we need to increase the scale of the project. It should look nice. We should be proudly demonstrating our culture and keep it for the generations to come. In addition to social issues, EXPO and Women also tries to address employment issues. So within the Touching the Beautiful project, young artists hold regular free art classes for orphans. In the future, it is planned to open a personal bank account for every young talent where people could transfer money for the drawings they purchase. There are gifted young artists who help us as volunteers. They're still studying in art schools and need to master their drawing skills to become true professionals. So it is mutually beneficial. The young artists get extra practice by teaching children in the orphanages to draw. The lessons are held on a regular basis. Single mothers can get employment and self-employment assistance in the National Green Technology Academy. Here they undergo gardening and basic business training. In the academy, we teach women the basics of plant growing and new green technologies. Upon completing the course, women are provided with a business plan and all necessary calculations. They also get post-training assistance through the Damu Foundation. They have specific projects supporting women's business too. EXPO and Women also organizes public talks with successful representatives of various spheres of activity. Every woman attending such meetings can participate in various masterclasses, receive advice on business planning, and get answers to whatever questions she has. We provide women with different assistance, including advisory support. Many members of our organization work in business. Employment of the representatives of the most vulnerable social groups, including single mothers, is the main goal of our cooperation with such members of our organization. The organization renders significant attention to the main themes of the EXPO 2017 exhibition, that is, access to clean energy, climate sustainability and universal application of green technologies. The first EXPO and Women International Forum, Future Energy, Women, Business and Global Economy, took place this year in Milan. The forum speakers represented a number of international public organizations. Kazakhstan's delegation consisted of 50 women politicians, public figures, businesswomen, representatives of art, medical and media communities. Our intention is to highlight women's position and contribution to the development of our countries and economies. This approach appears quite timely in the context of the economic crisis around the world. Exchange of opinions, sharing knowledge, experiences and successful business practices, all this will help our women actively engaged in the economic sphere to deal with the present situation. A woman was one of the most famous business persons of the 20th century. Esther Lauder was born in one of the poorest districts of New York and raised from an ordinary shop assistant to the owner of a cosmetics empire. Esther was the first one to offer free samples and gifts for purchases to her clients. Her persistent work still bears fruit. In the beginning of the 2000s, the annual corporate turnover of the company founded by this venturesome woman amounted to nearly $5 billion.